Welcome to the N1 Fitness Podcast. I'm your host as always, Marcus Sadu, and today we are chatting about cleanses and detox diets for fat loss. So cleanses and detoxes are super popular and they tend to last anywhere from 5 to 7 days more or less, and they typically consist of some super expensive supplements, maybe some green juices, teas, shit like that. And truth be told, they can absolutely result in weight loss because they're typically very low in calories. And if you've been listening to the pod for a while, you know that calories in versus calories out is the bottom line when it comes to fat loss. Meaning, if you go on a cleanse and you're drinking nothing but green juices or teas for 5 to 7 days, you're going to lose weight because of a huge reduction in calorie intake. Also, you're likely going to lose a bunch of what's called muscle and liver glycogen, which is just a fancy way of saying carbohydrates that are stored in your muscles and liver. Now, the weight lost via muscle and liver glycogen is not fat. It's literally stored carbs, and this is why lower carb, higher fat diets typically result in large initial weight drops in, say, the first 3 to 5 days. Whereas if you followed a higher carb, lower fat diet, but equated for calories, you wouldn't get that big initial drop out of the gate with the higher carb approach because you're not getting rid of that muscle and liver glycogen. However, fat loss would equal out over, say, the first 2 to 3 weeks more or less, and so on and so on. So basically, in the end, it's the same thing. Now, the primary issue that I have with quote-unquote cleanses and detox diets isn't that folks have these crazy unscientific claims about the detoxification process or about how you need to detox because your body is full of chemicals and it's stopping you from losing fat, or even how individuals are making ridiculous amounts of money off of the products they often sell alongside these cleanses and detoxes. It's actually the sustainability piece, because the number one question I ask when someone recommends a cleanse or a detox is, and then what? So in other words, you do this juice cleanse for 7 days, and then what do you do after? Because at some point you're going to need to eat regular food. Now someone might say, well, I need a kickstart, or I just want to get the fat loss process going. And while I totally understand that point of view, I just don't see how that's better than implementing a strategy with whole unprocessed foods that's a lot more doable and practical in your everyday life. It's sort of like saying, I want to get good at basketball as fast as possible because that's my ultimate long-term goal, is to play ball. But I'm going to start out by playing with a tennis ball instead of a basketball for a bit first. Why fuck around with a tennis ball? Like, how is playing with an entirely different ball going to get you to your goal faster? It might actually slow you down because you're going to get used to playing with the tennis ball at first, and then you're going to have to switch and get used to the change in weight, size, and texture of a proper basketball versus using the proper implement right away. Now, having said that, if your goal is just to lose as much weight as possible in a 7-day period, which I obviously wouldn't recommend, but if hypothetically that was your goal, you'd actually be better off just not eating at all. So no juices, no calories, no nothing. 0 calories will result in faster fat loss than some calories. Now again, I wouldn't recommend this, but that hypothetically would be a more effective strategy. Now, secondarily, there is also the issue of monetary incentive for the folks that are pushing these cleanses and detoxes. So I'd say probably 99% of the time, people that are recommending these 3, 5, 7-day cleanses have products to sell that go along with them that quote unquote enhance the detox process, or they may throw in a few big words to make it sound legit or whatever. First of all, the financial benefit to these people likely biases them, right? Now, you might be thinking, well, Marcus, you sell coaching, isn't that hypocritical? And yes, I do provide coaching services, but I'm not selling any products or supplements. I'm sending you to the grocery store to buy food. Also, your body has been evolving for millions of years, and to think that you need some special teas, juices, or sups to detox is kind of odd, isn't it? I mean, how did we make it this far as a species if your body didn't know how to repair itself? So as you can see, I'm not a big fan of cleanses or detox diets. It just makes a whole bunch more sense to me to implement something that you can sustain long term and that will give you lasting results versus getting into this potential binge purge cycle of going on a cleanse every time you feel like you need to lose weight. This is a whole separate can of worms, potentially around how cyclical cleanses or detoxes could potentially set folks up for developing an eating disorder or something like it. But I'm not even going to touch that for now, but it's definitely something to think about. So in closing, I'd recommend skipping the cleanse, skipping the detox. You don't need any fancy supplements. You need a solid, sustainable strategy that's going to give you lasting results that'll have you looking, feeling, and performing well over the course of time. Now, if you're interested in personalized one-on-one nutritional coaching and or workout design with me, you can head over to n1fitness.com/coaching or click the link in the show notes below. Also, follow me up on Instagram at n1fitness and be sure to friend me on Facebook at Marcus Sadu. I hope you guys found this episode useful. Thanks so much for listening, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya.